Welcome back or welcome to the Social Grade School. My name is Ace Taylor. I'm going to be your host today. Or as Drake would say it, I want to know who's representing in here today. So drop your location down in the comment section below. Show some love to your boy. And today we're talking about ownership. Is ownership going the way of the dinosaur? And I just happened to stumble upon this video. And I'm going to put the gentleman's Instagram profile right over here so that way we can give him credit. Shout out to him. He's doing the Lord's work and thinking and coming up with concepts and coming up with things that, we don't necessarily, it's not really on our radar, for lack of a better word. So we're going to go over it. We're going to talk about it and we're going to see what we can come up with. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
And what quietly went away without anyone noticing: ownership. We used to pay money and then the thing actually belonged to us. Now everything is sold as a service. Music as a service, movies as a service. We spend and we hold nothing in our hands. This got my wheels turning. I want to talk about it. So at face value, it reminds me of a time when we would buy CDs, DVDs. We could watch or listen to it whenever we wanted. Today, if a movie or song gets removed from all platforms, there could literally be no official way to access it. What it got me thinking about was the future of the public record and who is actually in control of it. Remember during the Super Bowl when Alicia Keys hit that bad note and the next day all the official media had the note fixed?
Some people want it all. Some people want it all.
If it weren't for people having their own archive, the official record is actually a lie. It's an intentional misrepresentation of what actually happened. And it's all fun and games when you're talking about just entertainment. But what happens with things that are more important? And I just think about the ripple effect of what this could mean longer term. Like, who is the controller of truth or of reality? I think that we're going to start to see fractures in having what you remember be different from what the public historical record is of that moment in time. So this concept of ownership for me is more about control over consumption, and as a result, global understanding of the truth. I'm mostly just thinking out loud, but I do think it could be a great basis for a case study or a thesis. I'm not gonna write it, but one of y'all should, because I think there's a lot to unpack there.
Basically, he's saying that ownership is going to go the way of the dinosaur, and I can't necessarily help but agree with him. I'm in this group. It's called the Money Mindset. And this group is filled with men who are successful, wealthy, and or living overseas, running their businesses. And this is what they're saying as well. They're saying the same exact thing. We just had a discussion on ownership and how it's going to be a little bit more difficult to own a house. Now, I know people who are young, they want families, they are looking to get married, or they just got married and they're looking to put a down payment on the house. But it seems that you need at least $100,000 worth of income. You need no debt just to get a decent interest rate. Now, this is strategically designed, in my opinion, simply because they want people to understand that this is a premium. Buying a house is a premium. Now, you can rent, just like with the movies. You can rent them, but you can't own them. And they strategically place this in our stratosphere so that way they could ease it onto us. The movies had this. The Simpsons had somebody with the, was it the Simpsons, or was it Futurama? I think it was Futurama, when they had something like an Apple Watch on their phone, and then you could see the picture of somebody on your Apple Watch, right? And now in 2020, what was it, 2018, 2019, the first Apple Watch came out. And then it's been revolutionary ever since. Samsung came out with one, Apple has upgraded them time after time, even though it's the same watch, so on and so forth. Same thing with the movies. It started with Blockbuster. Blockbuster was the shit. Boy, if you do not remember Blockbuster, then you are not living. Yo, we used to go in Blockbuster all the time. I mean, like, I'm barely old enough to remember it, but however, we used to go into Blockbuster. My dad used to tell me stories. I know I used to go in there to get VCRs, DVDs, and stuff. And then what happened to Blockbuster? They got bought out by who? Yes, they got bought out by Redbox. And then Redbox got bought out, or it went the way of the dinosaur, through Netflix. And Netflix used to release DVDs and CDs and games and stuff like that. So Redbox said, okay, you know what? Instead of just movies, here's some games as well. Okay, Xbox 360 just came out. Okay, here's Xbox 360 games. Push content out, push content out, push content out, right? And then Netflix said, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and make an app. Let's go ahead and make an app so that everyone can get the movies that they know they love, the cartoons, the animes, from this one site. And that's exactly what they did. Now, with the music industry said, you know what? Everyone's already using LimeWire. Everyone's already downloading illegal music from SoundCloud, from LimeWire, from all these different spaces. And I wasn't even old enough to have a MySpace at that time, but I've heard about it. And I did utilize these sites. I mean, I'm not admitting anything terrible or too bad, but I utilize these sites. However, at the same time, I noticed the shift. I was literally right in the middle of the shift and how it happened and how it came to be today, because it went from LimeWire to iTunes. iTunes, you have to buy every single song. The artists were still getting paid and everything like that. But then it went to streaming services like Spotify, Apple Music, and iTunes morphed into Apple Music. And then books were online as well. Now they noticed that books weren't being bought and traded and bartered for as they used to. And they said, okay, we got to find a different way. We need an easier way to consume these. And so new jobs were made up. People had new careers. People had new things to do. And in essence, the books that were just being able to read and consume and you had the knowledge to yourself became public information and easily digested to a mass majority of audience, which then boosted their sales, which then gave other people a consistent work ethic. Now, when we have the emergence of AI, we're going to go into more depth of this in a future video. I know that for a fact. But the changes that are happening are just not overnight. They've been working on this for years and years and years. And it all starts with the military. It all starts with these companies that get government contracts, who test out these theories that aren't necessarily on the books, but they get these concepts to work, and they don't want to push it out to us immediately, because then that will put the majority of us outside of work, and that's the last thing that they want to do, because we're not ready for it, which then begs the question, what else are they hiding from us? Yes, we know home ownership is going the way of the dinosaur. We know that marriage is going the way of the dinosaur, and this is obvious from the divorce rate over the last 30 to 40 years. It's a shocking statistic at 70% divorce rate over the last 40 years. If you take the data from the last 10 years or 20 years, it's going to say 54, 55%. Sure, yes. But if you accumulate all of this since 40 years ago, you're looking at a 70% divorce rate that is unlikely to change anytime soon. In essence, what I'm saying is what we used to live and what we were used to is no longer the norm anymore. Our society is not set up for the nuclear family. Our society is not set up for one income. It's set up for your one income that covers a whole household. And if you want to buy a house, you're going to need to make over $100,000. Then on top of that, you're going to have to pay property taxes. Then on top of that, you're going to have to maintain it by doing landscaping every so often. Then on top of that, if you didn't put 20% down payment, you have to put PMI mortgage insurance. Then on top of that, majority of your payments are going to the loan, not the principal. So guess what? You're still going to be paying off your loan at year 17, 18, 19, 20. And then it transfers to the principal. Now, this has always been this way, but how people are acting now, they're so desperate to get into a house, they're so desperate to make these relationships work. All they're doing is rubbing their hands together like Birdman, like, brrr. I'm in for a great surprise. I'm in for a great surprise because guess what? Most people do not pay off their houses, they move. Or they refinance, they take out a HELOC, home equity line of credit. Man, there's so much, man, listen. He's not lying when he says this. I want to play it again, but then I don't want to beat a dead horse at all, okay? But just know I've seen this shift, and this is an extremely interesting concept because here at the Social Grade School, we always like to introduce new concepts. We always like to introduce new theories, and we like to have the conversation about where the world is going and how we can adjust with it. And pretty soon, I'm going to be starting a business, and that online business is part of this boss-up mentality, this boss-up movement that I've had from the money mindset. Shout out to CGA and shout out to the money mindset for putting me onto this boss up mindset, because at the end of the day, if we don't improve ourselves, we're really going to be in the way of the dinosaur. And I'm not the type of person that's going to sit back and wait for something to come. I'm going to attack it full force. And so this is the motivation behind me starting the business. And also I want to document it as well, so that way you guys can see that I'm not just all talk. You guys can see that I'm really about this bag. I'm really about improving it. I'm not just speaking. I'm actually putting in the effort. I'm actually putting in the work, so that way I can improve day by day. Shout out to you guys. I love you. I appreciate you guys. I still want to know where you guys are from. Drop it down in the comment section below if you're a supporter, if you're a fan, if you're anything like that. I love you. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.